How's Colleen doing, Bob?
Very well. She's in the motorhome right now.
That's good. Good for her.
Okay. How are you?
Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. This is Dave. Hi, Dave. Hi.
All right, I'm showing 7 o'clock. So Mr. Madore, if you could make sure you mute general public. And I'm not sure if Mr. Madore or Mr. Pape is hosting right now, but if you could record as well so that we could submit this to OCTV. So I'll give you just a moment to click record, and then we can kind of go from there, get everybody muted. Don't mute council members, obviously. Unmute everybody once we get to public comment. Treasurer, welcome, Treasurer Meisner. We'll have you speak at public comment as well. We appreciate you here this evening.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. At this time, I call this meeting to order of the Village of Oxford Village Council, regular meeting Tuesday, May 12th, 2020 at 7 p.m. What we're going to do for the Pledge of Allegiance, it's been awkward in the past, and so I'm the only one with the flag. Perhaps we can all say it in our heart, or you can say it if you're muted, but I'll stand and do it. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll do a moment of silence. Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Okay, Bailey,
Bailey is present.
Helmut,
Yes.
Frost,
Here.
Kemp. Here. Cook. Here.
All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve this is Helmuth. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support. Kemp.
There's a motion from Helmuth, support by Kemp, to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Helmut,
Yes.
Kemp. Yes. Cook.
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Frost.
Yes. Moving on to presentations. We have none on the agenda. We'll have Treasurer Meisner, who is a guest this evening. I'll have him speak at the call to the public. So a couple agenda items down yet. So moving on to a public hearing, delinquent utility billing and violations to be added to the 2020 tax rolls. Terry, do you want to bring us up to speed on this?
Sure, this is an annual, per our charter, in Ordinance 31, Section 70 to 78D. Charges for delinquent utility billing and violations that are more than 6 months shall be certified by the village clerk, who then shall enter the unpaid charges plus late fees and a 10% processing and collection fee on the total amount due upon the next tax roll against the premises with which such services have been rendered. And all charges shall be collected, and such lien shall be enforced in the same manner as provided in respect to taxes assessed upon such roll. So these are the properties that have been identified in your packet. It's just by parcel ID number, keeping all the personal information personal. and all of the residents that were were delinquent more than 6 months were given the opportunity to pay those bills, which a number of them have. And that's why the amounts were put in later. And if you'll notice tonight, you have an amended delinquent invoices as of 5/12. The initial one in the packet was as of 5/5. So this needs to be approved later on in the meeting. But now is the time for public to address the council if they so choose regarding these delinquent invoices.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing on utility billing and violations being added to 2009-2020 tax roll at 7:05 p.m.
Support. This is Evelyn Petrowski. I had a question.
Hold on.
About it.
Mrs. Petrowski, hold on.
Okay.
There's a motion to enter into a public hearing at 7:05 p.m. with support. All those in favor, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Okay, Bailey,
Yes.
Frost,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Helmut,
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Okay, we are now in public hearing for delinquent utility billing and violations to be added to the 2020 tax rolls. At this time, Mr. Medora, if you could unmute the public. Public, if you could just pause 1 second to see if somebody else is going to jump in ahead of you so we're not missing everybody. Again, this is a public hearing. We can direct questions to staff and staff can follow up with you at a later date. Please be sure to give us your name clearly. If you'd wish, you could give us your address as well. Public hearings, we do limit public comment to 3 minutes per individual. Thank you, and we are now open for public comment.
Evelyn Petrowski here. I just had a question. Does this take into account the 6 months? Does it take into account COVID and some people that have lost their jobs, etc.? Can't pay their bills.
Thank you for
Is
that.
this prior to COVID, the 6 months prior to COVID, or what?
This is the 6 months prior. That is correct. Mr. Medora, is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's December 31 cutoff date, I believe, because by the time it's a tax
Okay.
roll, it has to be 6 months old.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. Any additional public comment for the public hearing regarding delinquent utility billing and violations to be added to 2020 tax rules? Okay, comment for the public hearing going one more time. One more time, public comment for the public hearing regarding delinquent utility billing. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion this is Helmuth. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing at 7:08 p.m.
Kemp, support.
There's a motion with support to close the public hearing at 7:08 p.m. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Frost,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Helmut,
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries. We are now out of public hearing and moving on to our general call to the public. Call to the public is on non-agenda items. So we invite the public and welcome the public to comment at this time. We do have a guest with us this evening, Treasurer Andy Meisner, Oakland County Treasurer. And if nobody minds, I'll let Treasurer Meisner go first. So Mr. Meisner, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Village Council President and members of the council and members of the public in Oxford. I am Andy Meisner, the County Treasurer, and appreciate the chance to be with you this evening. I want to start just by wishing thoughts and prayers for everybody in the community. Obviously, we're in the middle of something pretty serious, and I just want to know that everyone's health and safety is on our mind, and that we've got some helpful resources through the Treasurer's Office that I want to make sure that everybody knows about. One of the things I wanted to mention is that we have something called the Financial Empowerment Center through our office, and we offer free financial counseling, housing counseling, credit repair, credit protection. This COVID crisis is messing with everybody's budget, and people don't have as much money coming in, or they're wrestling with the unemployment system. And so we have very patient-friendly counselors who are available to work with you, dealing with any tax issues, dealing with any mortgage issues if you're having trouble with your mortgage lender. And then we also offer help for small businesses. So if you're a small business out there and shut down, trying to get through this tough time, our counselors can also help you to apply for some of the small business grant programs that are available, as well as some of the loan programs that are offered through the Small Business Administration. And Mr. Council President, if I may share a phone number, the phone number to call to read, and I'm going to put this in the chat if I may, but our lead counselor is a woman named Rita Nafso, and you can reach her at 248-807-5287. I just put that in the chat, and then her email is nafsor@oakgov.com. And so if you are out there and you're going through very understandable financial challenges right now, you're not alone. And there's a friendly voice at the other end of the line. You can try her. And then I'll also mention that my cell phone is 248-421-ANDY or 428-2639. And I put that in the chat as well. It's very important that we stay in touch and that we connect with one another at a distance during this tough time. But if you're facing challenges related to finances, reach out. We've got some help that we can offer. Personal and small business. Now, the second thing that I wanted to mention briefly is that if you are out in the village and you have delinquent property taxes, as the county treasurer, I have suspended the tax foreclosure process for the whole year. Normally, if you had 2017 property taxes, then they would be due no later than March 31st of this year. It's a 3-year calendar. But when the COVID crisis hit, it struck me that I'd rather have folks focused on protecting their health, their kids' health, and other dependents than being too worried about rushing in to pay their delinquent taxes. Now, if you are out there and you're able to pay, I encourage you to continue paying. If you're on a payment plan with our office, I encourage you to continue to honor that payment plan to the best of your ability. But for those folks who are facing a genuine hardship, you have a lot more time to get through this whole thing, and we hope that policy is something that will benefit the good folks of Oxford in the village. Now, the last thing I wanted to say is a matter of business between the village and my office, and we're very proud to partner with you guys on a number of different things. One of the things that we partner on is something called the Local Government Investment Pool. And so if the good folks at the village have got excess cash or some liquidity that they don't need right away to pay payroll or pay vendors, then they have the opportunity to put some of that money with a pool that we manage through my office at the county. And I touched base with Natalie Neff, my investment administrator. And if I've got it right, I think that you guys are a current participant, and that you currently have about $2.7 million with our local government investment pool. And I'm very happy to report that during the month of April, the council, the village, I should say, earned an interest rate on that money of 2.5%, which in this era of dropping interest rates is a pretty decent rate, and hopefully will help to create more cash to pay bills and to help meet the public service need, public safety needs, and of the community, and other things that come up. That's the end of my remarks, Mr. President. I'm grateful for this opportunity to not only to partner with you, but to just spend a little bit of time during this crisis. And I'm happy to entertain any questions, but also want to make sure that people got the phone number to get assistance if they need it. And then, of course, our website is oakgov.com/treasurer. But I'm very confident that there's a light at the end of this tunnel, and that we're going to get through this thing, and we're going to do it together.
Thank you, Treasurer Meisner, for the update and the resources at Oakland County. We really appreciate you coming this evening and joining us, at least virtually. I've already sent those numbers on to our communications liaison. So we'll get those numbers posted to our village Facebook pages and our downtown Facebook page to get the word out. So again, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Meisner while
Oh, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the hospitality.
All right, hearing no other questions, we will continue with our call to the public. So at this time, our call to the public is open. If you have any issues, comments, concerns, please share those with us. Since it is digital and many are calling in, please state your name so we know who you are, and we can follow up with you at a later time should you need additional questions answered or whatever the case may be. So public comment.
Hi, this is Kelly Arkles, 491 Thornhill Trail. And I wanted to ask, on March 19th, it was effective immediately that the village is going to suspend the enforcement of zoning ordinance 6118B about the commercial vehicles and residential. And I believe, if I recall from that meeting, that it was a 90-day suspension. Now that we're a little bit further into COVID, has there been any discussions on extending that even further?
Thank you, Mrs. Arkles, for the comment. At this time, we have not discussed further, but our hopes is that things will begin to reopen, and perhaps our June meeting could be in person, hopefully, and we can revisit some of those topics at that time.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? All right, public comment going one more time. All right, final call for public comment. Hearing none, I'll ask Mr. Medora, members of the public once again, and we'll move on to item 8A, our consent agenda.
This is Helmut. I'll make a motion to receive and file consent agenda items A, 1 and 2.
Support. There's a motion from Helmuth, support from Frost to receive and file consent agenda items 8A, 1 and 2. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Frost,
Yes.
Helmut,
Yes.
All right, moving on to consent agenda items 8B, approval, approval of minutes, bills, and monthly budget report, et cetera.
This is Helmut. If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items 8B, including the bills in the amount of $133,570.43.
Support Kemp.
There's a motion from Helmuth with support from Kemp. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Cook,
Yes.
Frost,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Helmut,
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries. Moving on to unfinished old business, there is none. Moving on to item 10, new business, 10A, delinquent specials to be placed on the 2020 tax roll, resolution 20-09. Council, what are your thoughts on this? How would you like to proceed?
If council has no questions, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 20-09 regarding delinquent specials.
Support Kemp.
There's a motion from Helmuth, support from Kemp to approve resolution 20-09. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Frost,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Helmut,
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. Moving on to new business, item 10B, first reading ordinance number 411, amendment to the prohibition of marijuana establishments ordinance. This is our first reading. I understand Mr. Davis has been in communication with Mario on this. Any updates or anything that needs to be added, Mr. Davis?
No, I think I think it's good.
Okay. Any other discussion from council?
I have a question. Are we concerned about the length of the May 26th meeting at all with the budget?
Mr. Medori, you want to answer that one?
Because we're gonna have this on there as well, is that why you're concerned?
I don't want to put this on the 26th. The meeting's going to be too long.
Well, we can take care of this right away and get it out of the way before we do the budget part, but we have to hit the 26th, otherwise we'll lose that sunset clause and be exposed.
I'm fine with that.
I don't
make a
think this
motion.
issue will take that long.
All right, this is Helmut. I'll make a motion to schedule the public and second reading for ordinance 411 to extend the sunset clause until May 26th, on May 26th, 2020.
Support Kemp.
There is a motion from Helmuth, support from Kemp to send this to a second reading on May 26th. Any discussion? I've got just one point of discussion. I still think, as I mentioned in our last meeting, that we just need to remove the sunset. The world has completely changed in the last 6 to 8 weeks. And as businesses begin to reopen, we don't know what the world's going to look like come November, December. And I'd hate to have to revisit all this again at the end of the year. Not to mention, there's still a lot of unknowns in terms of how this marijuana revenue, et cetera, with the state is still all working out. So I'd much prefer let another community be the guinea pig, and we can revisit this at a later time when the time is right. But that's my opinion, you know, we're each entitled to our opinion and our vote on this. So any other discussion? All right, hearing none. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Cook,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Helmut,
Yes.
Frost,
No,
was that a no?
that was a no, correct.
Kemp,
Yes.
All right, the motion carries. Moving on to first reading of the zoning ordinance amendment to comply with General Ordinance 412, the keeping of chickens. This is a new ordinance. This is really a housekeeping task that we need to update the zoning to comply now with the ordinance. Mr. Madore, do you have anything to add?
No, you see the text, what I've done in order to the zoning, the general ordinance 6.1.23, in order to make it comply with the new one, I just added the underlying text where all those animals listed are as prohibited, and it used to say chickens. Now it does have the exception as permitted under General Code of Ordinance, Chapter 6, Animals, Article 3, Keeping of Chickens, Section 6.1 through Section 6.66. That'll just clarify and get the conflict out of the way.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Madore. Are we needing to send this to a second reading as well?
Yes,
Okay,
it's an amendment to the zoning ordinance, yep.
I see. Okay. Can we do this on the May 26th meeting as well?
No, we don't have time to get it published.
Okay.
We're gonna have to do it in June.
Do we need a public hearing as well?
Yes.
Okay. Well, at this time, I make a motion to amend the zoning ordinance section 6-1-23 to eliminate the incompatibility of the two ordinances by adopting the proposed new text included in the ordinance as presented, and to have a public hearing and second reading at our next regular meeting.
Support. This is Helmut, support.
There's a motion with support. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Cook,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Helmut,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Frost.
Yes. All right, moving on to item 10D, CDBG Resolution 20-05, opt-in program for years 2021, 2022, and 2023. Terry, you want to bring us up to speed on this?
Yeah, this is required every 3 years. We have to make a commitment to opt in or opt out. There was a letter sent to Mr. Frost, our president, as the chief, the commander-in-chief, or what the highest elected official in the village, as well as Joe Madore, a village manager, and myself, who do the administrative work on the CDBG. So this is basically a resolution that was resurrected from 3 years ago. The only thing that's really changed is the date to extend the Development Block Grant Program in the village of Oxford for 2021, 2022, and 2023.
All right, thank you. What's council's pleasure on this?
Can I ask a weird question?
Sure.
I haven't been watching the resolution numbers, but is this really only 2005?
Yes, it is, because it was, I had it scheduled to go in April, earlier in keeping it in sequence. However, CDBG coordinator Carla Spradlin asked that I wait until we receive the official letter from the federal government. so that you could have that for review before we went through this procedure of adopting the resolution.
Just checking.
Thank you.
Do any other council members have any questions?
No.
Then I'll make a motion to recommend the adoption of Resolution 2005 regarding CDBG funds.
Support. There's a resolution from Helmuth with support from Frost. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Ross,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Helmut,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Okay, moving on to item 10E, 2020 beach schedule discussion. Mr. Madore?
Yes, not sure what all the county is doing yet. Don Brantley and I have been discussing this, trying to get a game plan. Are we going to be open? Is the beach going to be open? Is the bathroom building going to be open to the public? What might we have to do in order to make that open? Don't have a lot of answers right now. I just want to let you guys know we are looking. Tomorrow afternoon there is a conference call like this from the executive office at Oakland County. Hopefully we'll hear more about what they are planning to do with their public facilities. Don Brantley has been reaching out to Ron Davis at Oxford Township Parks and Rec. I believe in some cases they are closing, their splash pads and stuff will not open. One beach at Stony Lake, I think up here, it's going to have buoys in it because it has to have buoys to delineate the swim area so the boaters can know where it is, but I don't know for sure if the swim is going to be open or they're just putting the buoys in. So we'll have to kind of figure this out as we go. We don't want to be the only beach open within 20 miles. Parking lot is only going to hold so many. We don't want to have to go and sanitize a bathroom 5 or 6 times a day. That beach, of course, you all know, is on the northbound detour route, so it's already going to be a little difficult to get to there and get out of there. Just kind of wanted to bring up the speed of what we're looking to and discussing. Any suggestions on your end or thoughts, I guess, would be good, but we don't have a solid plan or recommendation for you guys at this time. Just want to let you know that's kind of where we're at.
Thank you,
Can
Mr.
I offer a suggestion?
Mrs. Helmuth, go ahead.
This is Helmut. Have we thought about not opening the parking lot? Walk-in only?
We have.
Um,
Because we figured
it
if we
is-
close it, people will go there with the bikes and walking.
Exactly. I don't want to incur the wrath of the Gillespie Street gods with the whole traffic problem we're going to create. But it is a great beach. It's the only beach within walking distance for kids to go to. And I'd hate to see it not open because we don't have parking. So if the governor opens beaches, we can open that beach. If we have employees to open the beach, I'd like to see some kind of opening of the beach.
Mr. Madore,
Yeah, Don and I were talking about that we think even if the parking lot is closed, people will go and walk there or bike there. We were just wondering what might be entailed if we had the restroom facilities open. He's heard that we may have to go in there and sanitize it every 2 hours or something like that. He's hearing different things from different sources.
Joe, I think you better watch it's the public facilities that are going to be the issue,
Right.
not necessarily the beach.
Well, yeah, that's what the beach we aren't too worried about. People actually going and swimming. We're
Right.
more concerned with what are we going to do about the bathroom, open or closed.
Again, if we have
Parking lot.
employees, I'd like to see us open that beach. It's been a lousy year for everybody. If we got kids who are willing to work, and we know we got people who are willing to go to the beach, let's open the beach.
Yeah, I think the this is Bob Davis. I think the county is looking at their policy with respect to all their other properties and campgrounds, making them available for people, but not opening what would be the common areas, the public bathrooms and showers and whatnot. So, Joe, you're probably going to find out that they're going to encourage you not to open the bathroom per se.
We were hoping not to.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, I think you'll find.
Ms. Kemp, you had a comment?
Are we required to have bathrooms for the beach?
I don't think so, because,
No,
but,
no.
you know,
Mr. Madore, one question. When does the beach normally open in normal times?
oh, I don't know the exact date. It's in June.
Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day, yeah.
Memorial Day weekend through Labor Day weekend.
Okay. So
One of Don's concerns.
I think we should
Yeah.
follow the Oakland County Health guidelines on this and any state guidelines that come down from state health or whatever it's called. You know, I know we want to get that open and all that, but you know, I think we'll just have to lean on the county health department for that guidance.
We'll still have trash pickup going on there per normal for those who want to use it, because even if it was to be closed, we understand there would be usage. I mean, people are people.
Right.
We were just more concerned about bathrooms.
Right, and I think in general, we probably as a village need to talk about, discuss, and develop a plan for when stuff does reopen. What does that mean for village properties? You know, what does that mean for employees? You know, will, you know, temperatures still need to be taken and vice, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just talking off the cuff. You know, we need to follow, I think, the guidelines that health at the various levels is giving out, but you know, does that mean we have to sanitize the counter here at the village hall? You know, how often and so forth. So maybe that's something we could begin to start looking at and begin to you know, begin to write up so that we have a plan in place. And I know that reopenings are slowly starting to trickle in, but you know, stay-at-home orders are until 28th. So maybe in the next 2 weeks or so, we begin to look at what this looks like.
Yeah, we were already
Mr.
looking at
President?
our internal policies and stuff.
Mr. Davis, go ahead.
Yeah, I've written several policies for other communities. I will forward in Word format to the village manager tomorrow some of those policies, which generally have 5 stages of reopening, and I'll just let Joe cipher through that.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
And one more thing, Don Brantley and I, we were looking in this morning too about the barrier at the front counter. It does have the sliding open windows, but we were looking for something that's more in place where it just only has an opening on the bottom, so it's not so wide open. So he was in measuring, and thinks he even has something we can use for that at the counter in the front office area.
Right, okay. All right, are you looking for any action this evening, Mr. Madore?
Nope, I just wanted to let you know what we were wrestling with, and I'm going to hopefully learn more from the county's perspective tomorrow afternoon. There's a 4 p.m. Teleconference meeting call like this.
Right, okay. Wonderful, thank you. Any further discussion from council? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to 10F, 2020-2021 budget discussion. Mr. Madore?
Okay, so on the 30th, I sent over a draft, and that was based on the feedback from the last meeting that I did take the full-time officer position out, and I wanted to show you what that would look like. And I did try to include a list of questions or points that I wanted to make that thought I might answer some obvious questions you guys might have on your end. So I included that as well. I haven't really heard much feedback. I know Kelsey sent me an email yesterday or day before with no big questions on the budget and liked it. Other than that, I'm kind of open for some feedback. I did include, well, let me just back up. The DDA budget I did get from Glenn just in the last day or so. So that new budget, numbers from DDA, is not in here at all yet.
And correct me if I'm
But I sent you.
that's not been approved by the DDA board yet, correct?
I thought that was the case, and I thought Glenn said yes, it had been at that last meeting, but I was at that meeting and I don't recall. I was gonna go back
I
and
don't
check.
recall that. I recall that the board sent it to the org committee for further work. So I think that still should go to the DEA board at their next regular meeting for their official adoption and recommendation to the village council for adoption.
Yeah, that was my recollection too, because we wondered, we would have our meeting now, theirs would be next
Exactly.
Monday, the 18th, and then we would have time then to add it to our, for the 26th. Trying to see the
Yes,
votes.
Mr. Madore, my comment, and you and I very, very briefly talked about this earlier, was, is there any indication from the state of Michigan how our municipal revenue share for the state will be impacted? And in normal times, what is the revenue share that we anticipate from the state?
Normally, it's right around 300,000. This year's estimate from the state treasury was 309,000. We get a check every other month, so basically about 50,000 6 times a year. And I'd cut that back from 309 to 270. I think it's listed on the line item down there. Line 70. Maybe that's not enough. I don't know. The one check we just received last week was for January, February. Of course, things weren't changed at that time. The next check we received in June, we expect to be quite lower. That's in this fiscal year that would affect.
Right. I wonder if there is somebody at the state level to contact on this, because some of the stuff I've heard from the state level is that, you know, obviously in the last 6 to 8 weeks, sales tax has taken a significant hit. You know, these revenues on the state side are going to be significantly down, significantly impacted. The state has furloughed employees because there's budget shortfalls at the state level. So I don't know if there's a contact at Treasury that we can get some input on this. I'd hate to run with 79 and then we realize that we're not going to be getting anything close to that. And I applaud you, Mr. Madore, for scaling that back compared to normal. That's good. And I think that's good. As I mentioned in our last meeting, I think we need to be conservative on this budget, just all things considered. But I just wonder if it's not enough, especially on that particular revenue item.
Yeah, I know MML and MTA both have put out things in the last month or so anticipating the June payments to be lower. But both of them have indicated that they thought there should be some upswing in the next course, you know, that would be August payments. But again, they're all using crystal balls right now. Nobody really has anything solid to go on.
Right, absolutely. Okay. Did any other council members have questions on this budget? Concerns?
What is the actual number difference between adding with benefits and everything, between adding a full-time officer and staying with what we have currently?
That's what I did late to yesterday. Well, I can try to look at two different screens here. The budget I sent you, the draft on the 30th, removing the full-time officer down to a part-time wage with no benefits. Line 11, which shows where we transfer to or from the fund balance, our fund surplus, that showed us $12,594 in the black. By removing that officer, no cost. Now the hours are still there for the officer because they're going to be working, for the most part, almost the same. And then in the last day or two, I've gone and I thought, well, in case someone asks, like I mentioned to you yesterday, I'd like to know that cost, as well as some other costs I've been kind of updating with DTE Electric and things, puts us about $5,700 in the red, so that we would borrow from fund balance to balance the budget. Again, that takes into account a guess at the state revenue sharing, which is not going to be as it has been the last couple of years. Each year we've been seeing a small increase in our budget, our revenue sharing, and it's been pretty close to estimates. But I'm certainly not expecting the 309 that the Treasury put out as an estimate, you know, months ago. So the 30,000 that I reduced that may not be enough. So either way, whether we leave it the same with or without the officer, it's potentially could take another $10,000 or $20,000 hit if revenue sharing drops that much.
Thank you.
Luckily, revenue sharing is a small part of our budget. $300,000 on a $2 million budget.
Right, yeah, it's in the grand scheme of things, you're exactly right, Mr. Medor, it's not a lot, but if it takes a significant hit, it could become a lot very quickly if we've,
Sure.
brought on a whole new full-time officer. And, I really want to have another officer. I think that's great. And, past few years, we have been ramping up and focusing on police department vehicles and staffing. I'd also like to see eventually, and again, I don't think we could do this in this budget, DPW staffing and DPW vehicles as well. So I think at this point, I hate to say it, but I don't think we should go with another officer, full-time or part-time. I think we need to scale that back for now. If we get to halfway through this budget cycle and we realize, okay, revenue share has from the state has been more positive than we anticipated, then we could do a budget amendment and revisit it at some other point during the fiscal year. But again, to be conservative, I think we do need to tighten the belt a little bit. Again, I'd rather be proactive and realize down the road that, hey, this isn't as bad as we thought, but I'd rather be proactive on the front end as opposed to reactive there in the middle or at the end of this 2021 fiscal year. So that's my 2 cents on the matter.
And let me just touch base on one item you did mention, DPW vehicles and stuff. So items that Don had asked me, and we looked at, those items are in there, but those will hit in the motor pool. Couple items he put in, like a new Mistig locator that's $4,500. That's down in the
Okay.
water and sewer.
Okay.
So those kind of things typically will hit down there. But yeah,
Okay.
there is a new truck and everything put in the motor equipment. You'll see the expenses in motor equipment are up. But again, those don't affect the general fund.
Right. Yep. That's a different fund completely. Okay. Yeah, and stuff like that, let's, again, I want to make sure that we are still working down the priority list as we need. These are things that our DPW crew needs. There's things our police department needs, and there's things that the admin side needs. So, let's make sure that those priorities are there and then tighten the budget where we can to anticipate any of the downturn from the revenue sharing.
Yeah, just like I've mentioned before, we can adopt this now, and then come June, July, August, we're only a month or two into our budget year. We'll know a lot more then.
Okay.
Good or bad. And we could always make amendments or different decisions at that time when we know better.
Okay. You're not looking for any action tonight, right? This is just discussion, and then we'll have action at our next meeting?
Basically, what I've gathered so far, I haven't heard anybody saying, no, we want to go full bore and add a full-timer. I'm hearing cautious is the way we want to stick with, the same as last time. And so I'll work from that draft number with that. And kind of, sometimes I just go back in and tighten up some things on utilities or things like that. That'll just, because I'm trying to get more accurate with them and not short us. But for the most part, I'll probably leave it pretty close to what you see there,
Okay.
and leave that full-time position out when it comes to the 2 weeks from now.
Council members, do you have any other questions or comments for Mr. Medor?
I have a suggestion. And I'm trying to think of the best. What if we adopt the budget with nothing, and when this is all over, in like a month and a half, 2 months, we come back and we amend the whole budget? I can't sit at home and adopt a budget I have so many questions on the non-union people. And to get it piecemeal, and it's no one's fault, and to do it over the phone does not work for me. But that's me. I would just like to adopt a budget with really bare bones and come back in a month and a half, 2 months, when I can look at your faces and when I throw out an obscene idea, you can all laugh at me or tell me I'm wonderful, whatever. But this isn't working for me.
Yeah, when you first said adopt someone with nothing, well, obviously we can't adopt it with nothing. Blank.
Well, right.
But yeah, we have to have some numbers there.
Well,
yeah,
I think what you I think what you do is you adopt the best budget you can, recognizing that all budgets are flexible and can be amended at any time, but I think you have to make a good faith attempt to do the best budget you can with what you know.
Right.
And then, like Mo said, you guys could schedule an actual budget session in a couple of months to really then, see how things shake out and dive into details. You're always free to amend the budget, but you really should make a good faith. You should make a good faith attempt right now.
Yep.
And
that's
Mr.
what
Thomas,
I'll try to put it together.
I don't want to hire or not hire somebody based on numbers. Well, everybody's sitting a quarter of a mile apart, throwing things up in the air. I want to make those decisions when I can see you. So I would just assume not comment on hiring or not hiring. We have union negotiations going on soon, and so much going on. M24 is under construction.
Yeah, that's why I said we can adopt the budget in 2 weeks, leaving that officer and everything out, leaving it as it was. Mike uses part-timers only when he needs them to fill in. He was anticipating, over the winter time and hearing from the folks that he wanted to add a couple part-timers to beef up the coverage as the construction and the detour routes and everything caused some heartburn around town. But he can still just do it as normal routine would be, use the part-timers to fill in when he needs them. We have one full-timer on sick leave at this time. So he is using the full part-timers a little bit more now than normal. But he'll just continue operating the way he is. There will be no change in status of any employee or no change in adding them on or things like that. So we can just adopt it on kind of like almost like a status quo basis.
Joe, are the union negotiations ongoing through all of this, or have they been put on pause?
I'm meeting tomorrow for the first time with the POLC, the Police Officer Labor Council, face-to-face. We'll keep our distance, but tomorrow's our first meeting.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I may, Chief Solwald.
Hello, Chief. Go ahead.
Hi, guys. Yeah, I think I heard somebody saying even scaling back on the part-time. Did I hear that correct? Because there's absolutely no way that we can do that.
No,
we're using a
no,
part-timer in a 40-hour
we're not
position.
We're not going to scale back on that, Chief. No.
Okay, because you guys are already paying a person 40 hours in a full-time role. You're just not paying the benefits. And I've just had a part-time guy go on a leave of absence, which is my 7th part-time guy since I've been appointed chief, that I've had to lose or retrain, and it costs more money overall for the agency to keep retraining these guys and to pay for their uniforms. So in all, I think in essence, it's going to save the department money by hiring this full-time position if you go on the red by $5,000. I know that's saying that now, and we got to talk about it more. But we have the double C going on right now. We got the coronavirus and the construction going on, and our guys are out there working hard. And this construction is going to start bringing 30,000 vehicles up Blasky Street at the end of Memorial Day, and we're going to be doubling our efforts with that as it is. So we are stretched to the limit in what we're doing. So I'm trying to maintain. We've got some great officers that I'm trying to maintain, and if we don't latch on now, we've got an opportunity. We may not be able to do that down the road. So I'm just trying to be proactive. I understand there's some uncertainties, but I just kind of wanted to just let you folks know that, and we'll chat about it some more later. So thank you for listening.
Thanks, Chief. I appreciate it. All right, Council, any further comments, questions, concerns regarding the proposed budget? Okay, hearing none, we will move on through the agenda. Item 11, items removed. There were no items removed. Item 12, we are back to public comments. At this time, Mr. Medor will unmute the public. If you have public comment, please share your name and address if you would. Let us know who you are, what your concerns are. If it's something we can answer, we will, but we're not going to have a back and forth discussion on it at this time. We can have staff follow up with you at a later date. So public comment.
Hi, this is Kelly Arkles again at 491 Thornhill Trail. I just wanted to make a comment on the Scripter Beach opening, and that I fully support, I believe it was Joe Frost who had said that we want to follow the Oakland County Health Department guidelines. I fully support that. I've been enjoying watching everybody enjoy the park. So I agree with Maureen extensively in terms of letting them use it. I do have concerns, though, with whatever guidelines come up with the Oakland County Health Department. I just want to make sure that there's really strong communication to the village public on what those guidelines are and what they end up being. And I know, Joe Medor, that you're going to be talking with them tomorrow, but if we could just make sure that it's communicated, that would be terrific.
Thank you, Mrs. Arkles. And I do want to remind the general public who are listening in, the village does now have a Village of Oxford Facebook page where we have the ability to share information like this. We also have an updated website that was updated in the last year that can live on there. And in addition to that, we've hired a communications liaison, Nicole Edwards. She's doing an incredible job. So Mrs. Arkles, yes, we will get that communication out once we have it and get that out to the village public.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're still in public comment. Any additional public comment?
This is Evelyn Petrowski again on Lakes Edge Drive. And regarding the beaches, as the weather warms, let's hope, people will begin to use them anyway. And so we have to think about, you know, hopefully the police department will not have to be a huge presence there, and that people will use their best judgment. I certainly hope there wouldn't be arrests, and that's just all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? All right, public comment going one more time. Last call for public comment. Hearing none, we will move on to committee reports. I recognize that some of these committees likely have not been meeting, and that's fine if you don't have a report. Just let me know. Mr. Bailey, any reports from them?
Well, all I know is what I see. I see the vehicles driving around from time to time, and I'm glad that they're there trying to do what they can to help the situation. But I have nothing specific to report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bailey. Mrs. Helmuth, Cable and Planning Commissions.
The Planning Commission had a meeting last week. For the life of me, I can't remember what we discussed. It'll come to me. Pardon me, Joe?
Signed and real estate one.
We discussed one sign that we approved and one sign that we didn't approve. The meeting went well. It wasn't a great connection for me on the Zoom meeting or whatever format we were using. But the meeting went well. But again, That was last week. What approved, what disapproved. The Cable Commission decided today they were putting their meeting off for a few weeks until hoping we can meet in person. We're still waiting on time for that. That's it.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Helmuth. Ms. Kemp, Communications Committee?
Nicole and I have talked throughout this. So the Village Facebook is a couple weeks old now, so we're at 513 likes and 568 followers, as well as the DDA page is at roughly 4,000 likes and 4,200 followers. So Nicole's been putting out new graphics and carry out posts throughout the COVID to encourage people to be in our downtown, as well as with MDOT, she has been putting out the word on the street emails, blog post regarding M24 weekly.
Thank you, Ms. Kemp. For myself, DDA has met. We had a regular meeting at the end of last month via Zoom. The promotions committee has been meeting. Construction has began, and I know and Glenn are working really hard at getting communications out. Glenn was involved with the county relief efforts in terms of grants and loans from the MEDC money that the county received. He's working on a number of items in terms of recovery and potential reopening. So keep up the good work, Glenn and Nicole. I know you guys do a lot of work behind the scenes, and we truly appreciate that. So that's all we have from the TDA at this time. Ms. Kemp, Pollyant Trail.
Some of the grants that the Pollyant Trail expected to applies for, funding has been diverted due to COVID. So that's a concern with the amount, some concern with the budget. So I would like to thank the Oxford Police very much for providing a collection spot for pop cans and whatnot. So at the end of this, we can.
And Ms. Kemp, if I may, just one moment. There's a lot of feedback. So Mr. Medora, I wonder if you could once again mute the members of the public.
Sure.
Thank you. Sorry, Ms. Kemp.
No problem. Yeah, so if ever anyone has pop cans they would like to get rid of because they've been accumulating in their garage, the Pollyant Trail would greatly appreciate them. If you would like, you can drop them off next to the old fire station that is behind Village Hall and the police station. And we would greatly, greatly appreciate that.
Oh, sorry, I started talking and I had muted myself. So we'll move on to staff reports. Terry, Joe, and Bob. We'll start with Terry. Do you have anything to report?
No, not really.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Davis?
Yeah, just very briefly, as the police chief will tell you, despite the shut-in and the shutdown, crime continues. I just wanted to let you know that we've worked closely with the court system, and all of the hearings on all the matters are continuing. The court is allowing us to negotiate plea issues with defendants directly and with their attorneys without having to attend court sessions. So the cost of your prosecutions are going down, but the management is still timely and consistent with the Constitution. People deserve a fair and speedy resolution of criminal allegations. So the court system has been very helpful. The judges have been very helpful, and things are continuing to be managed on a daily basis.
Good, glad to hear. Thanks, Bob. Joe Medora?
Yeah, a couple things. The county treasurer earlier, he mentioned about the LGIP, Local Government Investment Pool. And I just want to say that Terry's been doing a great job at that in the last year or so, and we've been able to plug in more expected interest revenue. I think we maybe were like 20,000 or more in the last year on those investments, moving in that pooled cash and giving us a better flow of the money and enabling her to have more in that pool. I think we've seen good positive benefits for that already in the last year. And just to touch on what Joe Frost had mentioned, Glenn, Glenn's been down for almost 2 months now. It almost took him a month to get tested, and he has tested positive for COVID, and he's been doing his meeting. He's been announcing it online, but he is still plugging away. He is hosting the meetings. He hooked me up to host this using his Zoom account, and he logged in tonight to hand the hosting off to me. He was a very integral part in that funding that came through the county and to this district up here. So I just want to hats off to him. I mean, for someone who's going through what he and his family is going through, he's still really doing a good job. We here are getting ready to send some letters out to almost every home in the village. The exception would be the Oxford Lakes properties out there, because they were always built with copper water lines. There was never a lead component in their lines out there, so they won't get any of these required letters that we need to send out. So you guys will see those in your mailbox in the next week or two, just indicating that you either have some lead components still there, or you did have it and the water main's been changed, but yet you still have galvanized, which was previously connected to lead. It's a requirement by the state, so you'll be seeing those out in the next week or two. Been working with MDOT quite a bit. Probably still working on the signs along M24 on the right-of-way that need to be moved back. We've got one of them moved. There's several more that need to be done for the widening areas. I finally got permission from the owners, the new owners, management company of the Crittenden building down there, to donate the streetlights in front of their building to the village. So when they do go back up down through that stretch, it'll be one continuous electrical line, and they will be no longer on their own timer and stuff like that. They will be on the village timer, so they'll be in sync. Dan's Excavating, if you've seen, has begun taking them down. They're running into some difficulties taking them down and taking apart old aluminum latings with screws that are really fighting them. I met on the site last week with MDOT discussing some of the issues there. Grissom Metz is working on pushing back a little bit on the light that was proposed by Dan's Excavating, because it didn't quite meet some of the specs that were spec'd out. So Grissom Metz and Glenn are working with MDOT to try to get that clarified here before too much gets taken, or too much water under the bridge here. We want to get that squared away. There's a meeting tomorrow morning, our weekly MDOT meeting I'll be on in the morning. Again, and like I said, Oakland County one in the afternoon. So other than that, we're still plugging away. That's it.
I thank you, Mr. Madore. Moving on to council member comments. We'll start with Mrs. Cook.
None from me, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kemp?
I would like to thank staff. I know this has been an evolving time where you need to adapt quickly to how everything is changing, and how you communicate with your colleagues and whatnot. I agree with what Mr. Frost said about how we need to follow Oakland County guidelines regarding the beach and how we open that. I'm looking forward to guidance they could provide. Moving forward, I think we also need to look at all of our events, including DDA events, concerts, whatnot, and how we move forward and have one cohesive policy about what, if those events will take place, if they take place, how they take place, what modifications we could make with them to make them happen still. I think that needs to be, we do need to talk about that at the next meeting. And maybe that means we take it by case basis, but we need to have one method that we make those decisions moving forward.
Thank you, Ms. Kemp. Mr. Bailey?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add. I certainly sympathize with Ms. Helmuth. I'd like to be able to see the people in the meeting as well. But no, I don't have anything specific to add right now.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Mrs. Helmuth?
I want to congratulate everyone who walks their dog down Dayton Street. Your dogs are so well behaved compared to my dogs. They don't bark as much compared to my dogs. They don't make messes compared to my dogs. You're all cleaning up after your dogs. Keep walking your dogs. I like seeing the dogs. Not as much as my dogs do, but I like seeing them. So, and you guys are walking those dogs 2-3 times a day. I don't want to sound sarcastic. Keep walking your dogs. That's all I want to say.
I'll wave next time, Mo.
Oh, definitely. Which dog is yours? I'm sorry I saw it.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Helmuth. Again, kudos to the staff who worked behind the scenes, who have rerouted phone calls to staff who are working remotely, who have done a lot of work in a very difficult situation. So keep up the good work. Joe and Terry and Glenn. Glenn, I hope you feel better soon. I know it's a trying time. Good work to the Planning Commission, who's still meeting digitally, and the DDA, who's still meeting digitally as well as some of the DDA committees that are meeting. So keep up the good work there. Chief Solwald and your crew, with construction and COVID, it is a double whammy for our community in many regards. So keep doing the good work that you're doing there as well. We really appreciate our police department, and we do recognize the extraordinary efforts that you and your team are putting in. Similarly, DPW, I know that they have scaled back to what they can scale back to, but the whole time keeping vital services up and running and functional for our residents. So keep up the good work. Don, if you're listening out, I don't know if you're on the call, but Joe Medor, if you could pass on to Don, that we do appreciate him and his team and the sacrifices that they make for this community. So please pass on that. Good work to, the board members or council members who are serving on committees, who are doing digital meetings, Polly Ann and Planning Commission and so forth. So hopefully it's not too much longer that we have to do this, but certainly we do recognize that the world has changed, our community has changed to an extent over the last 6 to 8 weeks, and I think we will be stronger for it, and as we move through this in the next few weeks and months yet to come. So with that, the weather's getting better, so everybody enjoy the weather. We'll look forward to another meeting just like this on the 26th to discuss the budget one more time, and we'll go from there. So that's all I have. So at this time, I will entertain a motion, closed session. We're sitting on. So we are to adjournment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:12 p.m. This is Helmuth.
And this is Bailey. I second.
There's a motion to adjourn from Helmuth, second with Bailey. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Helmuth,
Yes?
Cook,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Frost.
Yes, this motion is, the motion carries. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.